Hi, everybody. It's Kaz. And no John again this week. He's very hoarse. He still has a cough. He's still recovering from being ill. We miss you, John. Hopefully next week you will be feeling better and more up to joining me. So usually John says we start out the show with, "Hi Kaz, how was your week?" How was my week? My week was good because yesterday was my B day. That's why we didn't do a show. And I had a great day. I went out to lunch with some really good friends, and then I went out to dinner with my husband and my son and his girlfriend. We went to this amazing new Chinese restaurant in Orlando, just outside of Orlando. Orlando has become this foodie town. It's pretty amazing. So you can get pretty much anything, any cuisine, any culture that you would like to find. And crack boba, yes, it is my crack boba bubble tea, gave me a free boba. So yeah, non-paid marketing advertisement for crack boba. Anyway, yeah, it was a good day. So y- uh, I just miss John, and it's always nice to have his perspective and his questions because they're always really pointed, and he may find something that I have missed, but we'll just put it out there that he gets better really soon. Okay, the guest this week. Her name is Deb Eckerling, and I met Deb interestingly enough, through last week's guest, Kristen Cofield. She has a monthly goal setting and networking group that I actually go to every month and I love. And it's really, really refreshing. Every month, this small group of people who are supportive of each other and get together and discuss their wins for the month. They discuss their challenges, they discuss their future goals. And then, if someone has ideas or has input for them, they give them recommendations and really are very helpful. I've actually made a couple of friends through that. But don't anybody steal her ideas for her goal setting, please. She's very, very, very unique. She has a goal setting book called, and I want to make sure I get this exactly right, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. I love that title. Um, like I said, I've met several really fabulous people through her group. Plus, I was really fortunate last summer. She had me on her podcast, Performance Goal Chat. She is a goals strategist and speaker. She helps entrepreneurs, executives, and thought leaders identify and make a plan for their personal and professional goals. And that's through her website, the DEB Method. She also is the book proposal expert at thebookproposalexpert.com. She offers book proposal development, goal strategies for events, help with you finding a publisher. She's just all about the book expertise and getting your book and other people's books out there and read and published and marketed. She really has dedicated herself to helping people with their book proposals and getting their books out there. And if that wasn't enough, she's a hell of a woman. So here she is, my friend, Deb Eckerling.
Thank you so much for having me on. What like a fun intro. I'm like, oh my goodness, I do a lot of things, don't I?
Well, you remember when I was was it on your goal setting or on the podcast where I talked about you as well as me being a multi-potentialite, meaning we have a lot of things that we multi-passions, multifaceted, and that we are, you said you will have three things going at once at least, but you then have on the back burner maybe six, right? So, I mean, I
I,
just,
I, I get tired just thinking about my life. Uh, no, but that's really the point, though. When you love what you do, all of the things really, they're overarching on the goal thing, right? Because
Yes.
my podcast, okay, one of my podcasts is food, but everything else seems very directly into Deb, the goal setting expert, or Deb, the book proposal expert. Yeah,
Right.
I like variety, but I also like theme. But the stuff, the work that I do with authors is helping them achieve that goal of getting published in a traditional way. And I am, I am unapologetic on being pro traditional publishing, which because we have discussed this. Because putting
Yes.
all that effort into your book, you want it in front of as many people as possible. And I'm like going backwards and forwards, but I just happen to be really good at book proposals. I'm great at plans. So I love how the different parts of my life kind of merge together. And I get to be Deb 24/7. I mean, how lucky am I?
You're very lucky. You gave me an idea of the next thing to discuss because there's a lot that we can discuss. But let's first touch on the book proposal and publishing. I know you are very pro traditional publishing. I have a traditional publisher, although I've been having some challenges with my publisher, but I think we've finally gotten them ironed out. Would you speak a little bit about traditional publishing, hybrid publishing, and self publishing?
Sure. Just like anything. Like, okay,
Well,
that's very general.
your
Okay.
ideas on it, and I know your feelings about it. I know there are quite a few people who self-publish, including my partner John, and he does it very, very well. I am too lazy to self-publish because I just really don't want to have to learn about all of it. So I got really fortunate that a small boutique publisher actually loved my poetry and my short stories and said, "I will publish whatever you write." But not everyone is as fortunate to find a traditional publisher. So, I mean, we can also talk about hybrid publishing because I think maybe not everyone, the name is pretty indicative, but just talk about your ideas about those three types of publishing.
Okay, well, you hit them all. So there's self-publishing, hybrid publishing, and traditional publishing. And as I said before, I'm very pro traditional publishing because if you want to get your book out in the world, your best use of your time is building your platform, writing a killer nonfiction book proposal so it gets the attention of agents and publishers. They are looking for books they can sell, and you are not doing yourself any favors by not trying to. I hate it when I speak in quadruple negatives, but you don't do yourself or your book any favors by going, oh, I'm too lazy, I'm too whatever, I don't want to waste my time, I don't want to be bothered with traditional publishing,
Or I
when the
don't want to
fact
be
of,
rejected.
or don't
Sorry,
want
I
to
don't
be.
want to deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, deal with that, because more people, and I'm sure John is a success scenario, and I do have to be a little bit careful because I have lots of opinions. That being said, I did self-publish my first two books. They were ebooks, but the reason was I was working with authors and I didn't want to be a hypocrite. So I didn't want to be do as I say, not as I do. So my first book was Purple Pencil Adventures, Writing Prompts for Kids of All Ages, because in the whole debosphere of things that I've done, years ago when I led a live group, one of my regulars said, my daughter's not getting enough creativity at the school. Can you coach her on writing? And I'm like, oh, I should start a blog, because if I'm doing this thing, why wouldn't I spend my time building something up to promote it? And then when I was working with authors and I'm like, okay, it's time to do a book. I took the exercises that I put on the blog, and that was the starting point for my book. It still took a lot of time, a lot of energy. And I only e-published it because, again, my goal for this was to have a book, so I had that experience. The second one I did was called the current book's 52 Secrets. This was 51 tips on how to. It was right on blogging. 51 tips to create, write, and promote your blog. And I just went through the process of how you create this. It was big in blog and social media world, and I wanted a book that I could use to share the experience, but I also did it as an ebook because I linked to all the different blogs that I used as examples. It didn't make sense to do it as a book. So those were the first two. In 2018, now my I'm telling you all these things. I know you know some of them, but probably your viewers
Yes.
don't. So my background is project management and communication. And I started leading these goal groups when I lived in Chicago. I restarted them after I moved to LA, did it in person, a hybrid, online only, a hybrid. Now we do, as you said, once a month. Third Wednesday of the month, 9 a.m., we do Goal Chat online, which is a version of the mixer I used to do in person, which is all about what did you accomplish? What are your goals? How can we support you? So I forgot. Okay, got lost on my path. So
That's
I have
okay.
been doing all this stuff. I've worked in business, I've worked in ed tech, social media, financial services. I've done a lot of different things. And in 2018, when my main client was going away, I took that as an opportunity to really lean into goal DEB, right? And my mom said to me, "You hate SMART goals. Why don't you create DEB goals?" So fortunately, she loved to say that she named me twice. So my name worked with the system that I had been teaching for years, because as I was leading these goal groups, people would say, "You're good at this. I've been trying to write my book for months. Can you help me? For years. Can you help me?" And we got it done in 3 months. Or, "Deb, you're good at this. Will you speak at my event?" So that's kind of how I transitioned from this cool thing I did to making it a bigger and bigger part of my life. Anyway, this client went away. I decided to step in to Goal DEB. And the DEB method, it stands for determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. And I was all set to self-publish this book when a friend of mine, she would go to my in-person goal group, and her goal was always to do more networking because she was not someone who liked to do networking. Anyway, she was at an event and she met this agent. They were the only person each other met. I'm sure I said improper grammar, but who cares? Anyway,
At
she
least you didn't write in proper grammar.
I still have one time I got off a stage and someone said, "Deb, you used the word that instead of who."
Thank you. Carry on.
Yeah, so that's why when I say things that sound funny, I am apparently scarred for life. Anyway, she introduced us. The person who became my agent said, "What are you working on? Where are your books?" And I said, "I self-published 2, and I'm working on the 3rd that I'm about to self-publish." And he said, "What is your goal?" And I said, to be the first person people think of when they hear the word goal. And he said, "Send me your book proposal. You need to get this out mainstream." So I wrote a book proposal and sent it out. And he had actually sent it out twice, once over the summer and once in the fall. And in the fall, my eventual publisher showed interest. And her first thing was, "Do you mind if we change the title?" Because it was the DEB method. And I said, "I knew you were going to ask. Yes, okay, of course." And she wanted to theme it up. And I'm like, "Okay, well, when we're talking goals, it can be either exercise or road trips. And I cannot pull off exercise." So the DEB method became your goal guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals. And I think part of this, and this is, we went back and forth theming it up. And this book came out in January 2020. 6 weeks before the world had changed by circumstance, out came my book to help people embrace change by choice or by circumstance.
Wow. Right.
Fast forward to, I guess it would be 2023 at that fall. And I said to my publisher, "Isn't it time we do another book together?" And we were talking about, and I will go into the differences, but I'm on this road, so we might as well keep going. We were talking about how this big pet peeve, we all have rules, things that make our lives better. And I am very anti-guru. All these people who say do exactly everything I tell you to do, and you'll earn a fortune, or you'll be a success, or you'll be this. And I'm like, no. The secret to success is there is no one secret, which evolved into 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. I interviewed 60 people and asked, what's your big thing? What worked for you for setting and getting goals? Anyway, after I turned that book proposal in, she said, Deb, I can't believe you wrote this in 2 weeks. It's better than proposals that people slave over for months. Do you do this? Is this part of your business? And I said, it's the Deb's secret menu. Should it stop being a secret? Yes. So this would have been spring 2024. And since then, I've just really leaned in to it, to doing this thing, because I love it. It works with my goal brain. Okay, we're going to fast forward again to last summer in August. I'm like, we know August is quiet.
Yes.
And I went on Substack and I found that there was no book proposal Substack. And I said, that's not okay. So I started one. And then I said to myself, okay, what am I going to do on the Substack? Well, I'm going to answer frequently asked questions. So as long as I'm doing that, I might as well do a podcast. So I started the book proposal podcast. People started referring to me, as the book proposal expert. So I got the URL. So by October, I completed that transition. So I've got the debmethod.com as my goal hub, but the bookproposalexpert.com is my book proposal hub.
The book proposal. Well,
yeah.
Wow.
I know,
First
lots of information, and I didn't even answer a question.
Did everybody get that? Okay, she may have to repeat it later. Well, circling back to what you said about the whole guru thing, and what I have observed is that the gurus do really well with their template, wherever they got it from. And they resell it and resell it and resell it. But in my observation, the people who buy this person's successful template aren't as successful or successful at all with someone else's template, circling back to 52 goals, because not everything works for everyone. The way you might do something will be different than the way I do it, or the way John does it, or the way, Kristen does it. And they're all effective. They all work for us. That's like when I talk about meditation, is everyone needs to have their own prescription, because there's just not one size fits all. My publisher found me because he asked for submissions for poetry for his anthology. I submitted, he said, after I submitted my piece, he said, I will publish anything you write of your poetry and short stories. That is kind of even though it's been challenging, it is still kind of a fluke that something like that, it's so very me, because stuff just falls in my lap, or I just end up, going through the attic or the back door or the window, very much not through the front door. So you actually, when you got that publisher and you wrote your first book and they published your first book, and then you come around with 52 goal setting
52 secrets, right?
Secrets. Yeah, it was just, it just seemed meant to be, because I imagine one secret might work for me, a different one might work for someone else, and there's options there. There's not 100 pages of exactly what worked for you, and this will work for all these people.
Right. Well,
what are you finding that your goal setting is very popular. I can't wait to be there tomorrow. And, shameless plug. But do you find that book proposals is starting to tip the scales a little more, or are they equally kind of, you're working in both?
Well, I realized that when I told the story that I missed a very important part, which was the fact that my agent picked up 8 of my clients last year.
I think I remember you saying that last month that somebody got
Yeah.
picked up, or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So my part of my value add is he likes to get first dibs on my clients because he knows that he's going to have a submission ready proposal from them. So anyway,
And that hurts
that
no
was
one at all.
and
That doesn't hurt
so
you or the agent
exactly.
or the other person, right?
Exactly. So it was, I was having fun working with my clients. They were having success, lots of good things, right? And I figured, you know what, there's something to this to really lean in. So whereas I used to say I am a goal strategist and book proposal expert, now I say I am the book proposal expert who writes books on goals. So it has, the scales have tipped. But the other part of it, and this is something that always really bugged me, people think goals are a luxury item. I do not. I believe you need goals because there is a hope. Goals are hope. When you know that if you do the things, if you've got something that you're working towards that's going to make your life better, it really helps you, especially when other things in your life are not going your way. So I am a big fan of the whole goals are a hope. They keep you moving and motivated. And so the DEB method, that's what your goal guide is. The first section goes through the DEB method for goal setting simplified. Second half is worksheets, exercises, resources, ways to actually go through the system.
Right.
52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, it's a choose your own adventure. So it is, what do I need in one of these 7 categories? You can read it straight through, or you can go, okay, I need to focus. I'm going to read the focus chapter. Or I need to do more networking. I'm going to read through that. Or what you can do is you could just flip to a page. I have a client who does this, a goal client actually, because I do still have some of those, even though that's more now the secret menu, right? But what she does is she flips to a different page. Okay, what am I going to give a try? So we're going to try, this is my favorite little parlor trick. I am going to thumb through the book, and I want you to say stop, and let's see what the book. Okay. Commitment drives everything is the page we landed on.
Wow. I mean, I can't imagine that unless you land on the same page every day, and then you must have dog-eared it or something. But I can't imagine that wouldn't be encouraging and give you some, oomph in your goal setting. As it's, I mean, it's not really a secret, it's out there, but it was your secret and you let the cat out of the bag, which is great for the rest of us. But I can't imagine you'd flip. I would certainly do that and go, okay, how do I need to work today? And then flip through it and, oh yeah, I mean, it's not prophetic, but it's almost like allowing the universe to tell you what you need to know right now and today.
Yes.
So is there,
I feel like it's like tarot cards. You
I
can
was thinking
interpret
that, but I
it.
didn't know if I should bring that up.
You
Do the
interpret it
comparison.
the way that makes sense for you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's kind of, shaking off the dust or just giving you inspiration and ideas and relatability. I'm not sure. People, I'm sure, do not send letters, do not send cards, whatever. I've got tarot decks too, but how they work for you may not be the same as they work for me. I mean, some people, I'm sure, and I know, take real credence that it's messages and messages and messages. But and maybe sometimes I feel like that. But for me, it's a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
And how is this relating to me right now? And the 52 secrets, when you get a secret, what's your wake-up call for right now, given your situation? Would you touch on, because we did a whole goal setting with you with a woman who talked about hybrid publishing, and I'm not sure that people are too terribly clear on that. Could
Oh,
you talk about that and your feelings about it?
Okay, well, actually, let me just finish answering your question because
Okay.
I didn't.
Oh,
Big
yes.
shock. Tangent. Okay, so self-publishing is basically exactly it. You're doing everything yourself. You are
Right.
basically, you need to hire out for a cover designer, book designer, printer. You are doing all of the things. A hybrid publisher, that is their job. So basically, you pay them money to do the editing, the design, the distribution, production distribution. Um,
And design work too?
and design work. So
Okay.
basically, it's like a whole little cottage industry where there are companies. Some are more reputable than others, so always check. But they're basically a one-stop shop for getting your books done. But you're paying for it.
And it's, I mean, like you said, some are more reputable than others. I imagine the ones that aren't as reputable. Well, I don't, is Vanity Publishing reputable? I mean, you just pay someone tens of thousands of dollars. I am not going to name the publishers who do this because, I just don't want
I'm
to
not.
get in trouble. But
Mhm.
you pay them a lot of money for Vanity Publishing to get whatever you have decided to write put in between the a cover and the back cover of a book. But I know there is definitely reputable hybrid publishing, but you do have to outlay money.
You do. You have to outlay money for whatever you're going to do, whether it's self or hybrid. Actually, this is the question I answered on
Okay.
today's book proposal podcast, which is how much
Oh,
does it cost to publish your book? And my answer was nothing. When you're publishing in a traditional manner, they pay you. Is it a lot of money? Probably not. Do you have to wait? Probably yes. But they're doing all of the things, right? They are doing all the things that you are paying a hybrid publisher for. And I did hear a hybrid speak on this one. She's like, oh, well, your royalty is higher, you get more money
yeah.
with a hybrid, but you're putting out more money. And unless you are a unicorn, you are not going to make your money back. So
No,
I
no, unfortunately. And with
mhm.
traditional publishing, uh, it's not a get rich quick scheme when a traditional publisher publishes you, even though you're not outlaying money. And there could be money up depending if you're a bigger writer. They
To
do,
get
the
an
publisher
advance.
does give you an advance, right? Um,
But
but the percentage that we get from traditional publishing, it's not making me rich. And typically it's not a big percentage because of all the work that they have to do, but it is something, and you've collaborated with them. I've never had the experience of publishing where they tell me, I love your words, I love your book, and we're going to design everything, and you just need to sit back and take it, with no collaboration whatsoever. I haven't experienced that, but I have people I know who have experienced it. Do you have any
well, okay,
comments on that?
I already explained. So, your goal guide started out as the DEB method.
Right.
When I wrote it up as a proposal, I had actually bulked it up and gave an extra section that was just case studies. I wanted it more like 4-hour work week.
Ah,
And actually, when it got re-envisioned, when it got themed up, it's actually closer to my original vision for it than it was when I thought I had to make it fancier when I did the book proposal. For 52 Secrets, it went out as 101 Rules for Success in Business. And they came back and said, Deb, you are the goal person. We need goals in the title, and let's do 52. Same book, no feedback. And then the one that Kristen and I are doing, it was a go from the proposal. We did not change anything.
wow.
So that was sent out as an exclusive submission, and we got the yes in less than a month. And that's also not common. What is common is you send your proposal to an agent. And I always say it's better to go through an agent than go directly to a publisher, because then you've got access to all of them. The big publishers, especially the big five, will not take unsolicited manuscripts. Some of the large, smaller publishers will not take either. So, and once you get the book deal, you need an agent or an attorney to negotiate it. You need it. So why wouldn't you start going that route? In what my agent does is he will send it out to 10. We'll wait the 3 months and then send it out to 10 more, or whatever that number is, but very targeted. So this is the other thing that people need to know about publishing is everybody wants a win-win. The agent wants so you send your book to an agent. The agent sends it to the acquisitions editor at the publisher. They then need to sell the book to their team, their editorial board. So if you are a nonfiction writer, you are creating this document, this one that I love so much that it is my business, that speaks for you. It shows your knowledge, your enthusiasm, and why people need your book. I could do book proposal 101, but I will not. But basically, this is what the book proposal does. It shares your concept, shows how you are an authority, why people will buy it, who will buy it, and then the detailed outline and the sample chapters. So you're creating this piece, this document that's going to sell you and your book. You are much better off spending your time and your energy putting all of your love into that than trying to manage the things that you don't need to manage because there are other people who love it. If you are self-publishing, you want something professional. I remember when Vanity Press started, which we're talking over 20 years ago, there was so much dreck because people were publishing anything and everything. And it took about 10 years till people got the memo that if you publish awful things, no one's going to read it anyway. You might as well do it as professionally as possible, which is what I felt I did with the two that I self-published. But I won't go back. I mean, why would I? So basically a hybrid is you doing one-stop shopping for getting your book done if you're planning to do it yourself.
Right.
But
right.
The other thing is a lot of them will charge you a lot of money and you might not like the product.
Yeah. And I've seen the prices and I'm like, oh, no.
I had someone the other day, this is the person who inspired the question. Someone told her it costs $100,000 to publish a book. That look that you're giving is the exact one I gave her.
Now that's not that. I mean, I've heard up to 17K for hybrid.
Right.
Not vanity 25, but 100K. That's just completely insane. All right. Before my brain forgets this, I know there are probably some people out there watching or who will watch who are saying, you're making it sound like it's so easy to get an agent. And, either my experience is it's not. How do I start? How do I know, where do I go? How do I do it? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Oh, of course. And again, my story is not common. It had turned out that the person who's my agent, I had heard him speak like 5-6 years ago at an event I went to because we kept going, oh, your name's familiar. Your name's familiar too. Oh, well, I've spoken for this organization. Well, so have I. So we figured out that that's where we met. Again, not common, but networking is common. You need to be out there.
That was my next topic to go.
Yes.
Let's do the agent thing and then we'll go to networking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But networking is
a part of it.
It's a part of it. So I live in LA, but I'm on the board of the Women's National Book Association San Francisco chapter. I am the networking ambassador, big shock, and on the events team. So we do at least 2 virtual events a month, which are all designed to help people move forward in their publishing career.
And you don't have to live in California or LA or San Francisco to be involved in this.
No, absolutely not. And actually our event person, our event director, she lives in Minnesota. So the event team, there are three of us, one's in San Francisco, me in LA, and Kat in Minnesota. Anyway, we do something called virtual pitchorama every April. So we do it at the end of April, and what you do is you sign up and you're put in a Zoom room with 4 or 5 people, and then we rotate agents and publishers out. So you have a chance to pitch your book, usually about 8 times and then you're in the same room. So you become friends with your pod, which is like a little added bonus. But that's one way to meet agents and publishers, is to go where they are. And I like this one, well, because I'm part of the organization, but even before then, just because it's very user-friendly and it's not terribly expensive. It is a way to practice. But I got one of my clients because one year she was a pitchorama and everybody wanted her book proposal, but she did not have one. And we started working together shortly thereafter. Last year I had 4 clients at Pitchorama. My agent ended up signing 2 of them, including this person who, again, everybody wanted her book proposal, but she had it to share. So you need to find events like that. They can be online. There are those in person. I also write for Writer's Digest, and I do webinars for them. I just spoke at their last nonfiction writers conference online back in November. Find those places, because that's where you're going to meet writer friends, because writer friends know other people. But you are going to be put in, especially in person, actual rooms with agents and publishers, whether or not you're pitching them. It is a connection point. So if you are, and it's also a little bit different, because a lot of the people that you and I interact with, writer is not the first thing listed in their multi-potentialite name, right? They are an entrepreneur, they're a consultant, they are a something or other, they're a thought leader first. They have a business, they have a consultancy, but they've got this knowledge that they want and need to share. And don't be afraid to dip your toe into the writing world waters. Don't be hesitant to claim that title of writer, because you have to feel it, live in those writer's shoes, and then get out there, meet people. They're also another, for the less networky, I do have an answer on that.
Yes.
what books do you love that are similar enough to yours, but different enough that people need to also buy your book? So in most books, in the acknowledgments, they will mention and thank their agent. So you can look to books that you like, do some agent research there. There's something called Query Tracker, which has things about submissions.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different places, but basically being where the agents and publishers are is the easiest way, not easiest, but this is going to be your people. It's very helpful. I mean, for me, it's easy because I love networking, right? I've never met a room I didn't like. And there is one about networking for introverts in the book. Liz, who usually goes to the Wednesday, she's the person who wrote that. Liz Hyman.
Yes.
And she's like, you go with a plan. If you don't like it, fine. You still need to meet people. Or what I say all the time is, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. The more people you know, the more people, they're in your circle, but you are in their circle as well.
Explain to anyone who's may not be clear exactly what is entailed in a book proposal. Is the book already written and you're just giving, it's not just a synopsis or a 1-pager. This is a book that you are proposing that you write. How does that work?
Okay. Well, most people do not realize that you do not need to write the whole nonfiction book to sell it. You do not. If it is a memoir, yes. I mean, when you give the sample chapters, even if it is a memoir, you're not going to give the whole thing, but that's something that you like to have complete before you start sending out your book proposal. book proposal, and they can range like from 30 to 50 pages. This is not a short document, but it starts with I I love alliteration. So there are 3 sections to a book proposal. There's concept, context, and content. So the concept is your overview. Your it's your overview is your one pager that explains what the book is, what makes it unique, why you're the best and only person who can write it. But you also lead into it with a hook, and you also lead out with who is going to read it, why it's going to sell. Again, one page. If it needs to be 2, maybe, but this is the roadmap for the rest of the proposal. And then you expand upon it. You talk about what's in the book, and then the book specs, and then you've got your context. That is your author platform, where you show up on and offline, your interviews, your bios, if you've got a live show, all of your different press. That's your author platform. And then marketing, your ideas for marketing the book. Audience, who is going to read it, is research based. And then your comp titles, what are those books that are similar enough to yours that are very successful, but people who buy them also need your book. So that's like you making the case for the book. And then the third section is the content, and that is the table of contents, detailed outline, and sample chapters, usually 2 or 3.
So this can be very daunting for people to write on their own without some sort of guidance.
Yes.
For me, I never
I
had to
love
write a
them.
book proposal. Yeah, you love them, but I just hearing CCC and one page is one thing. But I imagine people are going, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much information, and I'm good at this and I'm good at that, but I mean, is this book the one I want to write? And I'm sure people have tons of ideas, but they're not sure which direction to go to get to put together a book proposal, and then who to shop it to.
Right. And so, and if you go to Writer's Digest and put my name in there, or if you go to thebookproposalexpert.com and you click on resources, you'll see links to some of my articles there. I believe that when you're ready to write your book and your book proposal, you will know. Sometimes you're not ready, and that's fine. Then
That's a
goes
really good
into
point.
I believe, and this is what I tell all of my pre-clients, right? People who think they want to write a book at some point. Those are what I call my pre-clients. Start a notebook or a Google Doc or a something. And whenever you have an idea for your book, just write it down.
And it may not be the same book. I mean, you may have ideas on several books, but which one is going to end up fleshing itself out and taking priority? That's where you may need. That's where you would come in, saying, "Oh, I like this idea. I like this one, but this one seems like there's a better market for this."
I
So we talk.
have had that conversation with prospects and clients too. They're like, okay, Deb, I don't know which book to write. I've got this great idea and this great idea. And sometimes it's emerging, or someone says, I really want to write a memoir, but I've got a business book. And I say, you write the business book first, because that does well. It's going to be easier to sell your memoir as opposed to the other way around. So a part of it is I just have a very good instinct for this. But that goes back to my goal days. I've always been able to have a conversation with someone and really pick up on what their passion is. And so this is just it in the book setting. But if you think you want to write a book, but you don't know what the book is, start by journaling. Empty your head, and you can just do it as easy notes, or you could do my direct to journaling method, which is you sit down and say, okay, what is my book? And you do free writing for 10, 15-minute stints.
Automatic writing.
Exactly. Don't read them until after you've done it 3, 4, 5 times, and then go through and find your common themes, and then dive back in a little bit deeper. I believe that when you're ready, I actually have another, I'm so funny. I have mostly book proposal clients, but the two examples I've given you are from project management clients. And this is a project management and future book client because he hired me for one purpose, but knowing that he wanted to write a book in the near future. So I gave him the journaling exercise. I'm like, whenever you have a few minutes, just start writing down your thoughts. And then in December, he's like, Deb, when do I get to write my book? And I said, is your head empty? Yes. Have you written everything down? Yes. I said, great. Let's
go.
Book. But I do believe if you are in that between where you know you want to write something but you don't quite know, that is the best way to figure out your focus and direction. Because, and this is very DEB method-y as well, we try and figure things out in our head. You can't rearrange your head. You can't like stick your hands in there. But when you
and it all rattles around like,
right?
you know, Pac-Man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But when you write it down, when you can see it clearly, yeah, I reference my wall where I put up all of the things, and I reference my notebook, which is usually down here all the time when I'm talking, because that's part of it. But when you can look and when you can see, it's like with goals. You make a laundry list of all the things you want to do and you divide and conquer. You cannot make that list in your head. You need the piece of paper.
Wow, those are a ton of really good gems. I'd like to touch on networking just for another moment, because then I want to close out talking about your goal setting group and your success with that. I mean, I'm there every month, and not that I'm your success, but I found it so. I look forward to it every month. I've met incredible people. I've, am seeing you every month, which is a total bonus. Okay, networking for people who hate it.
Oh my goodness. Set networking. Okay, set networking goals. This is the thing. I used to tell people back when everything was only in person that doing one networking event a week was a good cadence. Now that we've got access to online, I say 3. So you want to do one educational thing every week, you want one networking thing every week, and then a third is a follow-up conversation with anybody that you would have met, or maybe someone you haven't seen in a while that you want to be in touch with. So you do 3 of these a week, and then after doing it for 3 weeks, then your reward is you could take a week off. So you really need to gamify your networking. Another way to do it is be like, okay, I want to have 3 good conversations. Go into an event. After you have 3 good conversations, you can decide if you want to stick around or if you're going to leave.
Go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is with any kind of goals, you want to set yourself up for success. So what are you going to do? What makes sense for you? It's like exercise, you're not going to work out if you don't do something you enjoy doing. It's just that simple, it's, I love dancing for exercise, but I do it in 2-minute spurts because that's the amount of time I can usually commit to it. Right. What will work for you? Maybe it is 2 things a week. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 1, but whatever, or maybe it's just 1 out of the house networking event a week. Whatever is going to be success for you, do that. And then reward yourself, because and when I would do in-person goal setting workshops, I always started out by giving everybody a gold star or any color star they wanted, because they committed to themselves by showing up. And I believe that deserves to be rewarded as well.
And the first step is dipping your toe in and saying once a week, just get out there and dip your toe in. And most likely that will give you the impetus to do it more often. Hopefully you've had a good experience, or you chose a good event to propel you more, and to just get you out of you're already out of your comfort zone if you don't like networking anyway, get you more comfortable in your discomfort, I guess. But I
Uh,
I
I have to do the opposite though. So I go to
oh
networking events and I try, I'm on Zooms where it's the group Zooms and they put you in a breakout room, and I try not to talk first because I always
yeah.
want to talk first. So
Oh
going against your nature, it's good for your brain too. I mean, it's not just, it's great to let other people speak, but look at look at what is your human nature and lean into that. Do
right.
more of that. Of the things that, because that's, um, sometimes you need to be, I said it backwards. Sometimes it's good to be in your comfort zone. Sometimes it's good to be out of your comfort zone. So if you're not in the mood to go networking, but you normally like to, don't go. I mean,
Oh
really, I had an event last week that I was supposed to go to. I was really looking forward to it, but I had a book deadline. And I'm like,
oh
I
okay.
really want to go, but I had to look at, and it's really funny. There, one of the secrets in the book is future cast. And I wasn't even thinking about it when I made this decision, but he said, this is Peter Shankman, who does, it's now Source of Sources, but he was the original founder of Help a Reporter, who I met in LA in real life many years ago. That's the other thing I pride myself on, is that I know all of the people in the book. They're either friends or
Mm.
people I became friends with because a friend introduced me. Anyway, but he said, I always look 12 hours ahead. If I'm going to do something, how is it going to impact me? Anyway, my point
Well,
is,
that's a good idea. Always look 12 hours ahead
mhm,
to
is
see how, yeah.
so I really wanted to go to the event, but I had a book deadline and other work things, and I knew that if I went, I was going to be stressed and like not
Mm.
stay. It would not have been good, so I didn't go,
And that's okay. There's
and
nothing
that's
wrong with that.
okay.
You had priorities, we all
Exactly,
have to set them for sure. So I
exactly.
would like to in the last few minutes, I'd love to talk about your goal setting group, because it's, as I said in the beginning, I gave a little tidbit, but I'm like, do not steal this. This is hers, but it's brilliant. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. And I am not one who loves going to goal setting groups, because there's always someone or several people who really uh, dominate the time. They're more important than anyone else in the group, or it's just not propelling what the goal you thought the goal you thought the group was about. But your group is really unique. Would you just talk about it a little bit?
Oh, of course. So, and this started out. Um, this is a version of what my original goal setting group back when I lived in Chicago. It's all about,
Oh,
what did you accomplish? What are you working on? How can we support you? Share your goals for next time. And then at the beginning of the year, I'll like, okay, what are you going to be celebrating a year from now? So we do a little bit of that future thinking, and then we do brainstorming or mind mind melding, helping people figure out, masterminding. I knew there was an exact word. If
we
someone is
get
a
to it.
challenge or something, so we usually leave that space open. But this started because of my goal chat. The online version was actually propelled by the release of 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, but also I host the Goal Chat live show. It's every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. I go live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And what I do is I bring 3 friends together to discuss the topic of the week. And unless it's on purpose, they don't know each other. But this is the thing.
Which is so great. I did the show in August or September of last year, and I loved meeting the people that you paired me with. I really did. It was so dynamic. And I've watched many others since then. And you have a knack for that. You have a
Thank
scheme.
you. Yeah, well, when people ask me what my favorite form of networking, I say it's my show, because if I haven't seen someone in a while, come on my show. Or if I meet a new friend, oh, you'd be perfect for this topic. But I started out doing doing mixers for people if they wanted to be a guest on Gold Chat.
Right.
And so now that's just something that's baked in. If I get someone I don't know who wants to be on my show, say, come hang out, come to one of my mixers. They're always the third Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. And that way we can become friends, and I can find the right topic and panel fit for you. Because
And she does. She's just a master at this. She really
thank
is.
you. So it's everything. I so appreciate your kind words, and I'm thrilled that Kristen introduced us. And she introduced us because she said Cass would be great on Gold Chat. I'm like, great. It was what happened. Come to one of my mixers, and
Yes.
and here we are today. So, but that's the whole purpose. The whole purpose is you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. And that's why all the things that I create are in service of creating community, introducing people who need to meet each other, and or inspiring people on their goals, whether it is for writing a nonfiction book proposal to get their book out in the world, or they just need to meet cool people, because everybody, that we're better together. We're better
Yep.
when we know which resources we can utilize, and even with me. So my lane is book proposals. So whenever I meet someone who's an editor or ghostwriter or whatever, I write it down, because if I get someone who's looking for something I don't offer, I want to know who's the best people to introduce them to.
Direct them to.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is the vibe is very comfortable, very welcoming. You set the tone, but each week the people that are at the goal setting group, it always ends up being a really good mix. And there's just so much cross pollination. Oh, let me introduce you to this person, or oh, I can help you. Let's have a chat, et cetera, et cetera. So tell people a little tidbit, give them a little takeaway. Well, I don't need to do this with you. You've given them 100 takeaways.
Okay,
Tell us
I
really.
will give them one. I will give them one
Okay.
thing that I
Okay.
want them to do, and I want you to do this as well. It's still the
Okay.
beginning of the year. I want to know
Yes.
what success you are going to be celebrating a year from now. Don't think about it as goals, think about them as future wins. What win are we going to be celebrating for you? What win are you going to be celebrating for yourself a year from now? Write it down, put it in a place, do the things, because you were talking earlier, I draw all the things that I need. I do too, because we are living in our essence of what we are meant to do. So if you don't know what that is, give yourself a little bit of time, give yourself a little bit of grace, do some journaling to figure that out. But what do you want? What can you work towards? That's what's going to keep you motivated and happy when things aren't always going your way.
Or you perceive they're not going your way. They may just be percolating and it's not happening fast enough. And it's never in our time. Like with my publisher, 2 months
Mm-hmm.
and it's still, I finally got the file that I think is almost it. But okay, so where can everyone find you?
Well, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can learn more about how I help thought leaders, experts, entrepreneurs, etc., create book proposals that get attention from agents and publishers. That's at thebookproposalexpert.com. And then if you want to learn more about Goal Deb and the goal groups, you can go to thedebmethod.com/blog. That's where all the recaps are. And I am at the Deb Method everywhere on social media. And if you're really struggling, you have a book in you and you want to have a conversation, if you go to it's my Calendly, which should be coffeewithdeb.com. You can grab some time with me, but you can also find that link at thebookproposalexpert.com.
And you're very generous with your time, whether people end up working with you or not, or working with you immediately or working with you in the future. You're very generous and kind with your time. You're also on Substack too, aren't you?
I am. Bookproposals.substack.com.
There we are. There it is. Well, that's it for tonight. Next week, we most likely will be, hopefully, yeah, we'll be back to 4 p.m. next Monday, Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully, John will be feeling so much better. We'll have his voice back. He will not be choking when he coughs. But let's send John some really, 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 really
Good
good
vibes.
and good vibes and good healing energy. Thanks to everyone who was here live tonight, and it will be shown in replay rerun, also on Substack, on My Kaz in the World, and Kaz in the World on YouTube. And yeah, we really appreciate you being here and giving us your time and sharing your time with us. And thank you, Deb, so much. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. This was great fun. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it was. Okay, see ya.